Are you in the old room? I can't hear you. Are you in the old room? I can't hear you.
Test, test. Am I clear?
Yes. So
Okay.
we're live now,
Okay.
but I think it's just you and me right now. Test, test. Am I clear?
Hmm. I'm looking at a chat and it says something went wrong.
Okay. Well, I am just gonna start.
All right.
Just
Unfortunately, I can't see anything in the chat.
In the chat or on your Zoom?
In the YouTube chat?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I mean, I can see the chat and I can see if people are typing, so I don't know.
It's weird. It's like I'm hearing myself again and again.
Don't watch the chat at the same
Oh,
time.
I'm sorry. Let me turn that off because that's confusing me. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I guess on my side, I was trying to see if I could see the YouTube or trying to see people's like comments if they were to come in and ask anything. But I guess not. Let's close that out. Okay. Ooh, nice reference. So, are we just going over the process of how you're going to start?
Yeah, I'm organizing for now.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
see.
Ooh, hold.
Okay. I think what I'll do is I'll just list out some key characteristics that I want this demon to have. So let's see. Backstory. Um, this will be a, let's say, mid-level demon, servant to formerly known as
Seven Eyes.
Seven Eyes.
Wah, wah, wah.
I think the whole, and this is why I have these references. So even though we haven't seen Haley's demon yet, hold on one second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, so let's say we'll give this whole thing about like a little bit over an hour and just see how much progress we can make.
When you make these creatures, you also think about like
Well,
what their
actually, first
defense is.
let's
Oh,
listing out some of the key characteristics,
all right.
and that way I can have them on the screen so people know kind of what the goals are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so mid-level demon, servant to formerly known as Seven Eyes, aka Haley's stalker demon.
Yeah, because it's not. I guess technically it's not her demon. Um, she was like a part of. I can't remember her name's contract. What was her name? She's now a floating eyeball.
Yeah, Cillian.
Lillian. Thank you.
Haley's demon. Let's see. We know that from just a few visual hints or clues that we've gotten about Haley's stalker demon, that they're sort of like deep sea creatures or inspired by deep sea creatures, more like
Um,
squids or octopus.
I would also say, could I feel like the other guy was like a hybrid.
Octopus. Okay, octopus tentacles. And then it's going to have two forms. Okay, it's demon-like
Glamour.
form. It's demon-like form, and then yeah, it's glamour
Glamour
form.
form.
Okay, and then a mid-level demon, which means it's gonna have, let's see, 4 to 5 eyes.
Oh, I didn't know middle can be a 5. That's good to know. Look at that, guys. Learn something new every day.
All right, so let's say we'll start with we'll do its demon-like form, and that way it'll be easy to kind of detract from it and then just put on a human layer. So I kind of, what do I want? Okay, so this is his backstory, physical features that I definitely wanted to have. So
Tentacles.
so in the process, this will help narrow down design and help to track down references. Because I want to talk about my process for designing. References. So I like to pick 2 to 3 creatures, real world animals. And spelling is going to be terrible. Just a heads up. Real world animals to use as inspiration.
I have a question about your glamour guy or your glamour girl. When you make them, like, do all the humans come from references, or just some of them just are just creations from your head? It
You mean
comes to like the demons.
the like human facial features,
Yeah,
or
the
how
human facial
they
features, I guess, of that demon that, like the one that was on the bus is a good example because that was one of his minions, his
um
or her minions.
so they're kind of just they're fairly generic, but they kind of have to look like they're a little bit creepy or there's something slightly off about them.
Hmm.
Unless the character is particularly important, I won't really waste too much time tracking down references or trying to find somebody in the real world, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
No.
That'll work. Proceed.
Okay, so 2 to 3 real world animals. Let me see. Kind of, or personality. So behavior. I like to, when I design, I like to think about function as well as form. So the behavior needs to come through in the design.
So, for everybody who doesn't know, she also has a whiteboard where she writes some of these things down. So, don't just think that, she does this out of her mind on the go all the time. Whiteboards are our friends. I have a large one.
I'm looking something up.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm very curious about this one translucent fish that has giant red teeth that look like poison. Like, I definitely get the squid. I think that's a squid type of creature. I'm wondering if, like, she's gonna add, like, these teeth, this tooth-like scary fish thing to its design, which she probably is. Get this up here.
Okay, so let's see. So what I mean by behavior needs to come through in the design. If the creature is, what kind of role does the creature play? So if this is something that's kind of like a military figure, or if it's a messenger, if it's something that's like a, let's see, if it's kind of a spy or a creature for surveillance, or if it's meant maybe for kind of like sabotage. So that should show up in kind of how its body is made, or its structural pieces. So let's say, let's pick one. I'm gonna say, because and I guess there'll be some spoilers for some of the future chapters or towards the end of the season. The creature that's coming is kind of like the harbinger to the actual Haley's stalker demon coming to town. So by the end of the season, it will have arrived and it will be looking for Haley and will kind of catch the team sort of flat-footed, which means that the minion that shows up should be something that's there to support the demon. So it would be something, I'm going to say it's going to be very military-like, and it's going to be more, oh no, you know what, no, actually I changed my mind, because like I feel like I want it to be more of like a spy, so that it will kind of relay information back to the demon to tell them where they are, if they have defenses of some kind, if they're preparing for it. And obviously either Simon or Haley have to take care of this demon before it reveals too much of what their plans are. Okay, so we're going to say it's kind of more like a elusive creature that kind of has to disguise or camouflage itself, which is perfect because that's what octopuses like to do, octopi. they like to camouflage themselves with the,
Environment.
yeah, and the environment. So that'll work out perfectly. Okay, so it's a spy. Um,
I have some world building questions actually I would like to ask you if you have
mhm.
time. It's mainly about like I guess whoever is like these minions' main demon, do they always take the like I guess somewhat around the form of what demon they serve?
I think they're going to be, in my mind, there's this big hierarchy, and it's more kind of like branches on a tree, and
Mm,
every branch has very similar characteristics. So the higher up you go, I think the more, well, one, the more eyes you have, and then the, I don't know, the more you embody that particular branch, and each branch has its own purpose and responsibilities within this. They're not quite demons. They're these kind of
yeah.
Cthulhu-like creatures. So they each have roles and responsibilities and titles that are kind of like a functioning civilization. So one could be sort of like the justice system, and this is something in the old comic. It was kind of, it had come through more. This version is a little bit more of a mystery, and they're just learning a little bit about just a tip of the iceberg of the universe.
Hmm.
But in the old comic, there was definitely distinct branches of governance. So there was, a branch that dealt with actually keeping the rules and making sure that everyone knew what the rules were, so that when they went into the human world, they weren't breaking them left and right and causing chaos. Then there was a branch that dealt with um, kind of punishment, enforcement and punishment. There was another branch that dealt with like record keeping. And there was another branch that had to do with sort of like military affairs within this society,
Okay.
outside of kind of human creature, human demon interactions. It's kind of their own warring factions. So
Ah,
how that rule of engagements
I
play
hope
out.
I hope we will eventually find out what part um the demon that's coming after Haley is a part of. That's gonna be cool.
Okay, so yeah. So let's say that I want this creature to be able to be something that can easily adapt or merge with the environment that it's in. Um, on top of the fact that they are sort of invisible to regular human eye unless you have something like Haley's Looking Glass, or they choose to reveal themselves.
Hmm.
Yeah, or they start eating people and they can maintain a physical form and stabilize inside of our universe. So let's say this is the form you see when it chooses to reveal itself. Let's see. Let's let's start with something that's like more, I guess, humanoid.
Hmm.
So I want to incorporate tentacles, and I really like this kind of. I should have done some research on squid anatomy, but the this part. Let me change my color.
What
This,
that part is called.
yeah, I don't know what this
One, s-
looks like. Their brain.
one sec, I'm gonna Google this.
Okay, so I really want to incorporate this portion, but I love the interior of this. So that's not what you see necessarily. This is a cuttlefish. It's not necessarily what you see on the
Oh,
exterior, but I love this sort of membrane, and then it's almost like the inside of a mushroom. Ooh, so I like that. Actually, let me look up some weird mushrooms, because that actually seems like a kind of cool combination. Let's do a fungus sea creature, squid, because there are
Google.
some pretty bizarre
It's called
mushroom.
a mantle.
A mantle.
Hmm.
Okay.
feel shameful. I feel like I should have known that.
Okay, so let's take the mantle and tentacles. So I'm gonna write that out. I want to definitely incorporate that. So mantle, tentacles. Worry about texture later. So we're just gonna do a kind of silhouette right now,
Okay.
which is kind of how I like to start out. Just kind of sometimes it's called mass drawings, but it's basically you just kind of fill in the silhouette, and it's the stream of consciousness. You sort of pack in pixels and then take pixels away until you get a form or a silhouette that is kind of what you like. So let's just go crazy and then just spitball some like really weird dynamics and proportions. So I said I wanted the mantle, so we'll start out with the mantle. Locomotion wise, we'll say that it does use its tentacles, but it's kind of already very ethereal, so it doesn't really need to use the tentacles to touch the ground. But we'll just say that it uses it to sort of propel itself in the air. So it's like spirit tentacles. Um, and I really like, I don't want it to be kind of like an Ursula knockoff, because I was going to say that I like the sort of skirt that this poor octopus has here, but then I realized
Aw.
that that's something that was in that Ursula, the Little Mermaid villain design. Um, okay, so let's start with the silhouette, and then as kind of design out things, we'll think of how the function works.
It's interesting how some of these like demons they still have like insect-like features to them, even though they are like. Because I remember the other one I want to say was one of those. It reminded me of one of those torpedo shrimp. Is that what they call the shrimp that like shoots you?
The shrimp that can hit glass at
Yeah,
the speed of sound.
yeah.
Um, is it the rainbow shrimp?
I think you're
Or it can shoot so fast that it creates like a spectrum of color. I don't think it's called rainbow shrimp, but that's what I remember it as.
that's what that demon reminded me of. But even though it like even though a shrimp technically yes is a um an insect of some sort, it still very much reminded me of like just insects that you see around here and not in the ocean, like some features. And I kind of like that. It's like this sharp type feature that you add to them. I don't know how to describe it.
Can you find an image?
Let me see.
Okay, I'm just gonna play with where I'm gonna put the tentacles. So conventional is at the bottom, and they'll kind of shoot out like you normally see with squids. So it'll be like this, and then, or actually, let's give it more of a mushroom head. And then when it propels itself, it'll do a little squash and stretch, and it'll shoot out like this, like a
That's
normal squid. So something like this. Um,
kind of frightening if you think about it.
okay, so that's one design, and then see how I can play with this mantle a little bit. So this is sort of like a what's that oyster mushroom? um, what if we invert it? What if it's more like a trumpet mushroom? And say it's got yeah.
She's on a roll.
So say it has little stingers that come up from the top,
Ooh, kind of like
defense.
anemones. I can't say the word.
Yeah, like anemone is. I think that's right. So it'll have like little, little anemone on the top of its head,
That's cool.
for defense, a quick getaway, and then at the bottom, I guess I'm picturing it being 360 degrees symmetrical as well, kind of like a squid is. Maybe at the bottom instead of tentacles, so it's anemone at the top. I still want the tentacles, so I think it does have somewhat of a skirt, but not quite the same structure as sort of the octopus, where it's this like thick blanket, but maybe it's more kind of like a sheer jellyfish top, and that would have some really cool colors, like iridescent type colors on it. Um, and I know jellyfish have kind of these sort of pleated, ruffled type. Oh, that would be cool too if this was kind of the hairstyle of like its human form.
Ah, that's cool. Kind of
Um,
reminds me of like a hybrid jellyfish. It's like the jellyfish that you don't really want to interact with. Not saying anybody wants to interact with the jellyfish.
okay, so what if also it has, instead of just one of these things, what if it had multiple? Oh, what if it were like a colony of creatures that live together?
Like a jellyfish.
But kind of like, a sea anemone has, it's a coral has many sea anemones living inside of it.
Oh. Ah.
Maybe instead of that, it's got, and I don't remember if this was something that they explored in Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, but maybe like the creature has these bony coral things.
They had like men that had coral coming out of them,
Um,
but I remember it was in the one that had like the guy that's head was a clam.
this would be cool to give sort of kind of an asymmetrical design where it looks like the thing has an antler on it or something, but it's really sort of like coral, and then the coral has sort of like little anemones that are sticking or poking out of it. This is going to be a nightmare to draw.
Yes.
Okay, so
So actually, since technically this is a nightmare to draw as we're making it right now, like when something like this happens, like when do you decide to simplify it, pull back, etc.? So right now we're in the preliminary stage,
well,
so you
yeah.
keep going. But I guess when it's time to actually make something like this?
I think when I settle on an actual direction and I get pretty close to finish, that's when I start simplifying some more. It's always easier to simplify or take away when you sort of don't have a lot of moving pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of counterproductive to try to think about, well, what is efficient while you're designing. So
Yeah.
this is I guess I've worked with concept artists and game designers who call this sort of like the blue sky or the pie in the sky design session, where they just throw stuff out. They don't care about the budget, they don't care about performance, and they just want something that looks really cool. Of course, nothing is built technically, but they don't want to be hindered by any sort of technical limitations or challenges, because then you can always build around or build up those solutions to the technical problems.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have like a high bar to start with, you are already putting a ceiling on your imagination. So anyway, let's say that
So is that part the mantle and then it just kind of comes down with tentacles?
no, this part I'm kind of moving away from the mantle, and this will just be like a
Ah.
coral creature, which seems really stiff.
Ooh, what if it's not exact? I guess what if it's like a hybrid? You know those seahorses that look kind of like coral themselves?
Um, Let me look this up.
I did find the crab, but it's like in a chapter and it's you have to scroll down, so I'm just gonna but I guess, if anyone wants to see it's on episode 40.
Seahorses are adorable.
Yes.
Some of them are actually, I've forgotten, they have kind of almost like the goat eye. Some of them are really creepy.
Yes. I don't know why. I like it.
Let's bring up a Google search here. Like this, let's see. Oh no, that's vector art.
Let's see.
Spinity is.
I think it's called sea dragon. Hold
Yeah,
on.
I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, it's the sea
Definitely. What? Oh,
it's the
this one
sea
is.
dragon. I'm sorry. But it has like a lot of everything on it. Ooh.
But I do like this flow here. See, that's kind of what I was thinking
Mm,
of. You see how they look very bony,
yeah.
like their exoskeleton is on the surface. So something like this, but imagine if this were like pieces of coral and then they had living organisms coming off of it.
Kind of like a sea dragon.
Let's see what sea dragon looks like.
There's one blue one that reminds me of an airplane. Oh, there it is.
There is some crazy stuff in the deep sea.
Agreed.
More in deep sea than I think outer space or anything on land.
I was a long time ago I was doing a thesis project and I was researching like these types of creatures for my project and my friend's a biologist and there are some pretty interesting creatures that she would
That one.
like point out to me. Like I didn't know there was such thing as like Christmas tree coral.
Yeah. So I do scuba diving, and there's actually I've done scuba diving in California where I live, but also in the Great Barrier Reef. And when I went scuba diving in the Great Barrier Reef at night, there's actually some like really bizarre creatures. They're super tiny that have a lot of bioluminescence in them, and there's something out of kind of like a sci-fi world. Actually, let me look this up. Bioluminescence. I know we're getting away from the octopus, but I
I feel like
think it would
that's a
be
part of design.
yeah, I think it'd be fun to mash two unlike things together, but still they come from the ocean. Like,
Um,
look at this thing.
so since you've scuba dived before, as I never have, like when you're when you're in like the Great Barrier Reefs, I think you said you're in at night. Like how much was it actually like glowing? Is it like the movies or
There's pockets of it. It can be really scary because it's pitch black. And
mm,
sometimes it's even hard to find other divers. So you need to have your flashlight. You need to. Some people will have lines connecting other people in the party in case you get lost and wander off. Worst comes to worst, you have a whistle with you. So if you make it to the surface and you lose track of your group, you can whistle to the boat. It's still pretty scary, but you'll be traveling in complete darkness for a little bit, and then all of a sudden you'll hit a pocket of like bioluminescence on the coral.
I think they found a new
Ooh, look at this one.
I think it was called the ghost squid or something, ghost something. I saw it not recently, but maybe a couple months ago they found like a new type of cuttlefish under the sea. Let me go look for it.
Yeah, we'll take a look at this. So I don't want it to be a giant blob. I want it to have
Okay.
distinct appendages, and I do. Let me go back to the Photoshop here. I do want distinct segments of its design. Like I don't want it to be just a giant blob like this, and then its pattern or the texture sort of gives it a little bit of characteristic. I want the actual structural part of it, its silhouette, to be distinctive and noticeable. So some of the jellyfish are not working because they are just these blobs, and they have markers or they have patterns on their membranes that make them interesting, but not quite what I'm looking for. Okay, so let's go back.
Oh, there is called big fin squid. That's very interesting tentacles, like the ones that you were drawing. Let
I like.
me.
Do you remember the Fifth Element, the diva who had the tentacles on her head?
Oh.
So I don't want that, but I was
Oh,
thinking
okay.
as far as the function. So it needs to be this sort of spy creature that likes to kind of hide itself in places and just gather information. So there was this toy in, I think it was like the late 80s, early 90s that I remember seeing commercials on YouTube for. It was like this wacky wall crawler.
Oh
And
yeah.
you would throw it at the wall, you would get it wet and you'd throw it at the wall and it sort of like come tumbling down, but it had this like weird meshy substance, or it was made of this weird meshy substance that was sticky. And so what if it was
That's
something like
interesting
that?
yet scary. Okay.
Okay, so what if what if it had and I there was another demon that I had that was very similar to this. So I want to avoid getting it too close to it so it looks like it's duplicating. But what if its head was had the tentacles on the back so it could stick to surfaces,
Right.
and then it just kind of like hung,
Oh, like did kind of a Spider-Man hang
not a Spider-Man hang, but
or
like
stay?
somebody who's hanging
Oh, that's so creepy.
and it just sits there dangling.
Ugh, I hate it, but I love it. That's actually good because the creep factor on that will heighten.
So let me see if I can kind of run with this function to make the silhouette distinguishable So I really like sleek, kind of aerodynamic tops of the heads. Um,
Well, all right. There is one that I saw, but it has an interesting head, but since now the tentacles are on the back, I think I'm gonna look for something else.
so something like that. And then for the body of it, let's see. Or maybe it's a decoy. Like what if what if it is
It could be like a part of
it's a
it.
small little creature, like Men in Black, where the scene where they do the alien autopsy and the creature is actually in the head and is this tiny little creature
Yeah.
and the rest of the body is just a decoy. What if what if that is the case where the creature, all of its life, its brain and everything is in this top portion here that's stuck to the wall, sort of kind of like a command center, and then everything that's dangling off of it, kind of like an anglerfish, where it's just there to distract whoever's looking at it.
That's creepy.
Um, and maybe it looks like not a human, but an animal. Because if it's another human, a human will want to interact with it. But if it's like a bird, or if it's a harmless animal creature in ambient life, people will just ignore it.
Like a cat.
like yeah, like a cat. Or if it's, I don't know. Now we're getting away from sea creatures.
What's in the ocean that people ignore? Guppies. But it has to be in the ocean, so it's gonna be hard because everybody's gonna see a floating fish. And that's highly suspect.
What if it's like a mollusk, and the mollusk has a design that looks like, I don't know, some textile or no. I do like this shape though, like the aerodynamic and then the bulge out.
So would the body be in that area?
I don't
Kind
know
of
yet.
hiding.
I'm not sure yet. I'm just gonna play with shapes. Hmm.
I have an idea, but just stop me if you don't like it. So what if that like piece there that's kind of like swirling? I was thinking about what if that's like just more legs that it's just hiding. It's like making this like shape. And then when it's ready to attack, it just unrolls, attaches itself to you like a face hugger.
So it's tucked. Its legs are tucked into here.
Yeah, they're just all kind of wrapped in together and made this like shape.
Let me see if I can. So I can draw this out. So it kind of just collapses in to something that looks like a shell, like a sea conch or something,
Yeah,
and the whole shell opens up to be legs.
that's terrifying. I'm scaring myself. Good
Okay,
job.
wait. Let me see if I can draw what it would look like unwrapped.
It's too much HP Lovecraft.
These are super sketchy, so don't don't mind if it just looks like a bunch of spaghetti lines. I like I like the idea where it's not quite Slender Man. How is this gonna look? Okay.
I like how in your gesture you still have the like fluid movement of it unwrapping. How terrifying. I'm such a scaredy cat. I wish I wasn't.
Maybe pull this over here. Um,
Because
it's
if
getting.
this guy is military, I just thinking about
He's.
how is this guy
Oh,
going
he's
to
not
attack?
though. He's
I thought he was. Oh no,
no
it's spy.
spy.
He's a spy.
I getting closer. I don't like this. It seems a little bit
Too much.
too ethereal, like hard to pin down. There's not a lot of good solid volume there.
All right.
Um, and then this head part is not exaggerated enough. Like I need to give it a I need to give it a definitive form. It's just sort of ambiguous. I need really
What if you
clear
go,
cut shape.
what if we go back to the Slender Man hanging from the wall?
Mm, maybe, but I want to continue this a little bit more. I just need a more a more standout shape.
Mm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, going back to the seahorse shape. So let's try something. So I do like the function of it hiding itself by curling in and collapsing into a little ball and then unfurling when it needs to move only after kind of people have looked away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Play with this of the seahorse some more. Like, what if it had sort of like the sea dragon, where it had these I don't know what to call them. They're like these flippers. They look like leaves coming off of it.
Yeah,
It
I
is.
don't know what they're called.
What if it's draped over something? And then the back part of it is like a seahorse body.
I'm gonna send you something. The link. I guess it reminds me of the creature that's hiding inside something's head. There's this like deep sea fish where you can see inside his head.
I have all these ideas of how to make it into a humanoid, but for me, the hard part is doing like the completely unhuman form.
That makes sense because it's a form we are unfamiliar with. I am not a concept artist, but I remember when I was making concepts for my graduate thesis, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever did.
Yeah. The other part is that these creatures have intelligence and they need to converse with the main characters. So it's kind of hard picturing something that's not human that's talking, or human like that's talking and interacting and gesturing in our world. All right, I'm done with it.
I guess when you say that, it makes me think of some of those like B-rated animes where they have this creature and it looks like a creature, but then it's talking to the people, but there's like no animation in the mouth or anything at all. It's just sitting there, and it's like not
um,
really convincing at all.
I don't know. I was thinking of an Avatar, the turtle.
Aw. Well, I guess when I was thinking about that, I was thinking about the bad example of that. The turtle line is a great example
Yeah,
of
the
that.
lion turtle.
Lion turtle.
All right, what if we had something that was kind of like a Styracosaurus,
Looks kind of like a sea
but with
dragon
coral?
or just a dragon.
And that also could be fall into the category of like a spy creature because it flies around.
It's true.
Um, Although I don't want to give it away, but there's another demon that is bird like, so I don't want to make it too similar to that.
I have questions then. Just stop me if it's going to give too much away. Is this creature, if it's a spy, is it supposed to be tracking her and reporting
Not
back?
tracking her; it's found her,
It's found her.
so
Okay.
it's just meant to collect data.
And that's it. So it's meant to just hide.
Just meant to hide, collect information, and relay it back to the stalker demon.
Okay.
What fish look like a satellite dish,
A demon satellite dish.
but with tentacles. Like it,
Oh yeah, it sends its brainwaves out to the
yeah,
guy.
yeah. It had like brainwaves or sonic energy or something or telekinetic. So it so it has a its mantle looks kind of like a satellite dish. So it's like an inverted when a jellyfish
Well, what if
spreads
it?
out all the way.
Oh, okay, yeah. I wasn't thinking about. I guess I was thinking about like the way an octopus, like the skirt on the octopus.
Yeah, no, a similar idea,
Okay,
but it's the kind of I think it's the top part of the octopus head then instead of I guess it could be the skirt, but it would
I
be
guess where
it
it's
would be
bro, it's like
like
a hybrid skirt mantle.
yeah, it would be here we go. So just say this is the head. I what do I want to make the center part be? We'll just leave it blank for now and I'll fill it with something. But the skirt of the octopus or of the creature will spread out and sort of not maybe invert itself so that it looks like a satellite dish. And then it just sort of picks up sounds and stuff like that. I mean, it doesn't
The day Haley
necessarily
made her
have to act that
breakfast.
it doesn't have to act that way exactly,
Okay.
but if it kind of alludes to it or what am I doing? Yeah, kind of taking the fish that's at the bottom, this deep sea terrifying creature with the overbite or the underbite. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it. I don't know what whenever I think of underbites, I think of like those little dogs that have underbites.
Which ones?
Like pugs or bulldogs.
That looks like a flower.
Kind of look like a cotton ball right now. Work in progress. Evil cotton ball.
All right. Well, just a thought. So maybe
Hmm.
something like that. May or may not go with that.
It's still very menacing.
Um,
Still feeling menaced from it.
okay, so we're getting a lot of these closed shapes. Let's do something a little bit elongated. And it was more or less what this thing was going to be if it had a piece attached to it. Let's see. So something that's not so. It doesn't have a.
Makes me think of an eel. It's like a spy. Octopuses are better spies.
All right, let's go back to our silhouette drawings. Okay, so I wanted to. The reason why I thought about the colony of creatures or a collection of creatures, I was looking at this fungus that had a lot of like little mushroom heads sticking out of its base.
Hmm. I don't know why. I guess when you mentioned mushroom, I thought about the mantle, but like the mantle having, those flat mushrooms that grow on the side of trees. I imagine the mantle being like made up of those kind of like weird scales.
I'm not sure I know what you're talking about.
I'd have to draw it out. The mood that you're also going for this thing is like menacing and creepy, right?
Yeah. So these are super bizarre, and they, in well, at least the ones over here at the top, in no way have humanoid shapes. So we can also explore more humanoid creature forms if we get tired of trying to come up with these bizarre, super alien silhouettes. I just want to cover all bases before I decide on anything. And I kind of like to do that in general, just um, even if it looks super weird and completely bizarre and off brand, it's just nice to do something that's pushing the limits, and that way you can you can get a really wide net and then narrow it down in case there's some stuff that you didn't think about, or things that just would never have come to mind without just pushing the limits.
So,
So
do you have any type of time limit with this process, or is it until you have that aha moment? Because I know there's like you have characters of different um hierarchy. Because I'm assuming that you'll spend more time um finishing up Haley's demon than this guy. Um, but I guess would there be a time limit to this one at all?
for
For like, I
for a
guess,
character that's
oh,
kind of like secondary
mm-hmm.
or tertiary even, usually I'll give myself, a day or two. If it is an important character, then it really is until I hit something that I really like. And then that's why I think it's really important to go wide, to try to make sure you cover all of your bases before you start narrowing down. Just really push your sense of comfort, your comfort zone. Um, like a lionfish, but then it turns into a
Fish.
an eel,
Mm.
like a moray eel lionfish. I also think placement of eyes are super important, because you can make your character look really dopey if you put the eye too far apart from each other, or if you put the eye close to the mouth, or what would perceive to be as a mouth, you can make it a little bit too cartoonish.
Yeah. Um, since we're since we're referencing deep sea animals, I was actually trying to find like a scarier looking deep sea cuttlefish,
Mhm.
and I found one and it looks like it has googly eyes. It's like a little purple cute one that has googly eyes. I was like, this is terrible.
Undermining yourself, cuttlefish.
I know.
Like you can't strike terror into the hearts of your
Your
your prey.
prey.
There's, actually, what had really cool designs and variations with its own universe that didn't get enough love in the box office. Uh, it's Tomorrow Never Dies.
That's
Or
very true.
what is it? Rinse, death, die, something, rinse, repeat.
Yeah.
So I really like the design of
Like,
the alphas.
yeah, they're like different divisions of those like soldier
And
thingies.
and the omega was something that was completely different, different shape altogether, because it looked more like an enema, a sea
And
anemone.
didn't they have like dog type too?
Yeah, those were the alphas, I think.
Oh, okay.
Well, they're ones that looked more like starfish when they rolled around. And they're
Yeah.
ones that look like a cross between a lion and a dog, um, dragon, like a Chinese dragon, and those were the alphas.
Looking at the alphas, actually, when I first saw it, it kind of reminded me of that one creature in Hellboy, the first one, that if you killed it, two more were always born.
Um, in the first Hellboy or the
The
second
very
one?
first Hellboy.
I don't remember.
They attacked Abe. I can't remember the name of them.
I haven't seen that movie in so long. This is a cross between a crab and a sea anemone.
Reminima?
Anemone? I'm a piranha.
So
There.
I have a question. So in this one with its glamour one, it doesn't necessarily have to be human, it sounds like, with this thing. It could like pose as like some exotic plant or a flower or something.
Yeah, it could pose as any. I think I want to make it restricted to organic creatures,
Mm-hmm.
so it can't pose as like
A
a
vase.
fork. All right, I think I'm getting into the groove. It takes me a good, maybe I want to say like hour or something to warm up, especially if I haven't been drawing it all in that day.
Do you take like multiple layers of like just thumbs?
This one is stupid. Get rid of that one.
Goodbye, satellite
Goodbye,
face.
satellite fish. Yeah, what was the question?
Oh, do you have like multiple layers sometimes of like nothing but um
Designs.
thumbs? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I'll just, once I fill one up, I'll make another one, and then either shrink it down or hide it. This one just looks like a fractal. Or it's turning out to be a
It looks
fractal,
like something you'd
not
see
a
under a
creature.
microscope.
Yeah, which is interesting. I mean, it's scary in its own right, but not quite fitting into my universe. That would fit into a universe of
Ant-Man.
micro monsters like Parasite. It's like a horse on stilts.
What is those? There's a those microscopic creatures called something bears. Water bears? I don't
Oh,
remember.
the adorable ones. The sea.
Yeah.
Actually, hold on. Let me get our description in another layer. There we go. All right, so this is my set of practice shapes. Okay. Let's go for more humanoid ones now. So we got the good old humanoid that is lanky and kind of bent over, or it's got a convexy shape. So by convex, I mean like it's the back is bowed this way. And then you can play with where you want to put the appendages. Make this a long-necked creature. So let's try something with the head a little bit closer into the body. So it looks a little bit like a giant overgrown sheepdog. Or sea sheep. It's a sea sheep. Actually, do you like playing with placement of the head?
You kind of remind me of that weird bulbous creature that came out of was that Starship Troopers, but with tentacles and a beak.
I've actually never seen Starship Troopers.
That's a good thing.
Let's see, we're getting away from octopus.
Yeah.
Let's make this more Cthulhu-y. So it's like a Cthulhu rhinoceros beast. Okay. Tail or no tail?
I'm gonna wait till you finish it.
All right. So I guess I'm just inspired by the sea dragon. So it's just got all of these wavy sea dragon
The tail, I mean, it just
images.
extends the form and makes it look less like a blob. Before it looked like a tentacle blob with like horn. Now it has like more of a shape with the tail. So I would say keep the tail.
Okay. Let's do. So we've got this creature here that it's got this hunched over back with long arms, and it looks like a stereotypical, alien creature. The nondescript lanky monster that's bent over. Let's push this some more. So let's keep that same sort of bent over arched neck.
What if we like elongate the features to kind of make it creepy?
Well, kind of started doing that here. So I want to do the opposite.
Make it more stocky?
Yeah, well, bring in some pieces, but I want to keep that neck, sort of the old man neck,
Huh?
kind of sits low on here. But instead of, let's see, instead of having that arch, let's have it go the opposite direction.
Ooh. Sorry, I'm just really excited.
So this way, and then have it kind of like a swan neck.
Oh. I guess whenever I think about swan, I do think about that swan on Kung Fu Panda too.
Oh, the peacock?
Oh yeah, not a swan. Never mind. What's a peacock?
Yeah, so now it looks kind of like a duck, kind of. So let's bring in some more deep sea creature.
So how is this guy supposed to hide with his crooked neck? Because I guess in the other one he seems like he's creeping. It's like a little creeper.
Yeah, well, I guess same deal where it can curl in its neck, or maybe I'll try next sort of like a turtling or like a hermit crab type thing, where it will hide in a shell, kind of like what we were doing with this creature here, but instead of having the shell unfurl, it's everything ducks into the shell. All right, so how to bring in some of the deep sea stuff. So let's just focus on shape now, and then we can worry about form later.
Okay.
So how to bring in the mantle. So it could go, the mantle could go here.
Oh, okay. I
Like a
see on
shower
the
cap.
on the other one, the mantle's like more on the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it looked like those alien creatures
Aliens.
in Independence Day, or I
Oh
guess in
my God,
Aliens too.
they all had shower cap heads.
So and then have the tentacles pop out of it like that, and then it's got its broke neck, swan neck here. Um, we could continue with the tentacle design and just have this like break out in the tentacles, or we could make it bipedal and then incorporate the tentacles another way.
Swan octopus hybrid. I like it.
Okay, I'm not sure the details of the face, but we'll work on that later.
Just doing uh body form.
Yeah, silhouette. So it could have that skirt that we were talking about. It's like a jellyfishy skirt.
Mm-hmm. Cuttlefish have like kind of skirts. They're kind of like bubbly
Yeah, they're like
tentacles.
flounders.
Yeah. They look like
They're
little like some of them
they're so
I've
tasty. Some
yeah.
they're not tasty for me. I'm not a seafood person, but I know people, especially Koreans. Koreans love cuttlefish.
Oh,
I know. Um,
I love to eat them.
if it's just relaying information, maybe it doesn't need arms or legs. Like it just needs something to move around and escape. All right, something
From
along
the
those lines.
from the looks of Isaac's basement, without all of his enchantments, anything can hide in there.
All right. Oh, but it wouldn't be able to get in there.
Because of all the enchantments.
Yeah. So there's the little T-Rex hands.
Oh,
Okay.
it kind of
I don't like
reminds
it. I
me
don't
of
like
a little horse, little horse hands.
it. I don't like it. I don't like it.
All right. Oh, I guess it would start looking too ethereal if it had like fins, because then it look like
I was
wavy wings.
trying to see how that would work with like this thing here. It's
Yeah.
kind of it's got fins sticking out here. Maybe some more fins. I think as long as there's a really strong feature part of it, characteristic, physical trait, and then it has like 2 or 3 segmented modular parts of its body that are still integrated well, but they're very distinct. And by that I mean, like, for this character, I think the mantle part would be one segment. The swan neck would be another segment, and then this bottom piece here that's more sort of thin, flowy skirt thing, that would be its third segment. And I want them to be distinct but still merge with each other, or that theme, those different motifs play throughout the character. So you still have these flowy fins here on the top of its head, and then kind of tiered throughout its body. And the neck, when this is articulated some more, will sort of blend into the head shape. So I don't want it to be segmented so that you're like top, or you're like one of those chimera creatures where like head of a lion, body of a horse, legs of a man, and it looks like this weird Alice in Wonderland Frankenstein monstrosity. I want
Yeah.
it to look like
I feel like the hippogriff was a good blend.
yeah, the
A good
hippogriff.
example.
Let's bring up the shot of the hippogriff. But that's what I'm.
So you don't want to look like an animal party,
I'm trying to
basically.
think of like a bad example of it.
Because I think, well, I guess if you find bad examples, they would always have to be like the 2D versions. Because, like, I was trying to think of like the griffin, but they still managed to make the griffin work in Lion, Witch, and a Wardrobe.
I just have seen, I think, more bad concept art when people are open up the image here. So here's the hippogriff. So it's got, hawk shape, beak, eyes, legs, but it's got the body of a horse, and I think the tail is also of a horse. But the pieces of these different animals are sort of mingled throughout the entire design, and it's not just there's a cutoff here for where it is the shape of a falcon or a hawk, and then it's a horse
Then it has
with a
fur.
falcon head stuck on top of it. That is terrible design. I've seen that. I've seen design like that. Sometimes it's deliberate, like it'll be for comedic effect, like BoJack Horseman, or sometimes it's not deliberate and it's just somebody has not a really good design sense.
So you want it to not look like animal soup.
Yes, like a man in an animal suit,
That's fair.
or in a horse body, horse body suit. Okay, so I do like the idea of it maybe not having arms. I lost where. Okay, there it is. Maybe not having arms and just sort of it's purely a surveillance function, so it just has to get in and get out really fast.
So it can also float if it wants to, too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Magic.
So done with that one.
Done.
See. Let's try another humanoidy shape. This time, let's have the inverse. So we had something where the head comes forward, or the head is more forward than the majority of the body. So let's try something where it's the opposite, where the head is
like kind of pulled
recessed back. Yeah.
Like a snake does before it attacks.
Yeah. Yes. So it's either recessed back or it's sort of embedded in something.
Ooh.
So pretend this is, I don't know, just draw eyes so you can kind of see. So pretend that's the head, right? And kind of like a helmet where it's got the tentacles around it. It's sort of sitting in a clamshell. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is
kind of
looks like a turtleneck or something. What were you gonna say?
Oh, it reminded me of the horror version of were those things sea squids and the Little Mermaid? All the all the like mermaids that had deals with Ursula.
Oh, I don't know.
What were those things?
They look more like
Not sea squids. Sea. I think it is. Is it like a sea cucumber or I can't remember.
yeah,
What
I
those
think it's
things.
like sea cucumber. So
Like the sea sheep.
the sea sheep, face recessed inside of this.
It's one heck of a. I kind of like it though. It's kind of like fancy, unnecessary armor.
What if it doesn't have a body? It just
It
has.
just has that.
Uh,
I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense for defense wise. He just tucks his head in and no one's going to know where it is. Well, unless you hit the center, then there he goes.
yeah. So this is where maybe lionfish comes in. Man face.
What if we do Baltimore face and just get rid of the nose?
I mean, he's got a nose. It's just more like a lion's nose, a man lion nose.
You know, every time you mention something, I just keep referencing it to a television show, and I'm self-discovering that I watched too much TV as a child.
So what if he was on the head of an eel,
Ooh,
like man with eel body? Uh, he's got hands, little arms sticking out of
it's
here.
like if he loses balance, he just starts crawling on the ground.
Yeah, like that. And then this is eel. Eel spinates. Yeah, yeah.
When you make some of these creatures, do you like think of sailor stories? She had the head of a lion and the tail of a seal, but eyes of a lionfish.
Oh, somebody commented, "Your very best friend, demon squids." Indeed. Okay. All right. So, what about if it were completely human, but it had like armor that was reminiscent of a sea creature? So let's go the other end of the spectrum, where we've got ninja. That when I think of spy, I think of ninja. I don't know why. So we've
Well,
got
I mean, that
let's
was her job, right?
well, yeah, true, but I mean, there's got to be other spies
Well,
throughout different eras.
I guess if you
I
want to
don't
go
need.
towards ours, they're called spies. It's just not as fancy. Like in the 1700s, they're like, "Oh, what are you? I'm a spy."
They didn't have a special word for it.
No,
Well, all right. So say we've got. I'm just gonna draw ninja. Draw
just
ninja, the stereotypical ninja, and
just
then
get it
we'll
out of your system.
start thinking of ways to make this guy more like a sea creature. It's a ninja pose. Is it like? I know they're always crouched. They're always crouched on some type of tree limb, staring down at. Right.
Mm-hmm. That's their job.
And they're always posed with some type of like throwing weapon or something. That's what ninjas do, right?
Yeah. I mean, it really depends on which television show because that's a good reference. What ninjas
Once
do.
again.
Uh,
I don't like this guy's knee. This knee guy, this one, knee down, and then leg up that way. Okay, yeah, I like that better.
I wish there was just an anime stamp that was like ninja.
Oh yeah,
Boom. And you
ninja,
just stamp it.
warrior, Super Saiyan,
And they just give you the construction of it and then you just draw over it.
kid in uniform, Japanese
Stamp.
school uniform,
Stamp, stamp,
stamp,
stamp.
stamp, fantasy elf like
Yeah.
creature. Okay, there we go. We're getting into it. All right, ninja.
All right.
So if I wanted to turn ninja into some type of like sea creature, obviously their wrappings would be a perfect place to start metamorphosizing them.
Change his head to a squid. I know that's not original, but
So we got mummy wrappings or ninja wrappings.
what is all those wrappings are his tentacles? They just unfold. I don't know why I want everything to unfold into like something creepy.
Okay. Well, no, that makes sense. I do like some of these wrappings are wrapped around its body. And that's how it cloaks itself.
Ooh.
How to make that look like squid creature though, instead of just having tentacles coming off its body. uh I mean, it would just be wrapped around.
I mean, I guess it would be a bit more. It wouldn't be as flat as like bandages. It'd be a little more bubbly.
Like, oh, wait a minute. I like that. It would have maybe a hood, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's also like hacker wear or something. That's kind of like our data collector
Hack
ninja
the
right now,
planet.
like hackers. So
Yes.
maybe it's got a hood that similar to what we were doing here with lion armor guy eel. So maybe this one is like the mantle. So it's got a jellyfish or squid mantle. How to do this?
Squid hood.
Squid hood.
Mantle hood.
I think we've gotten have we gotten mushroom ninjas before?
I'm sure it exists. I'm sure it exists.
I don't know why I want to do this. I want to put a squid on his head basically and then drape it down his body.
It's reminding me of Haley's hoodie.
So instead of they'll draw some sort of prehistoric warrior with a lion's uh, headpiece or mane draped over his shoulders and down his back. Instead of that, it'll be squid. I just don't want it to turn into like an Aquaman-y.
Wait, have they done that? I've never seen the movie.
I don't remember.
I know someone's like, this girl that keeps doing all these reference shots. I haven't seen the movie.
Okay, all right. So, would they have regular arm limbs? And then for its mouth, oh, we can do like squids.
Have beaks.
Squid face, squid beak would be kind of slick, stealthy looking, and we can kind of make it like not quite like Davy Jones.
Although Davy Jones' design was very iconic.
Yeah. So I don't want it to look like a beard. I want it to look like it's part of this sort of cowl, this cape and cowl. And then for its arms, it still needs to attach itself and be agile. Human hands are not that great for that. Maybe no, but they are like the opposable thumb.
Human hands are fantastic.
I know. Human hands are great.
Well, all right. Let's do pluses of both animals. Octopuses can fit anywhere. They could literally fit
That
in
is
like small holes.
that is true. I forgot about that.
And we can't do that.
um okay, all right. So I really like octopus head here.
Believe it.
Okay.
Give him
But
a hoodie.
I think it is true that that is a pretty big ninja feature or ninja ability is to squeeze yourself into tight spaces anywhere. So if I were somebody or if I were a creature that needed stealth and
Would it look
data
weird
collecting,
if we gave, instead of him arms, gave him, I guess, tentacle with a hand at the end? Will it look too weird and noodly?
possibly, let's see how to make this look cool.
Not like Squidward.
Because their arms kind of look like little curls like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you're saying instead of ending in just the end of the tentacle, it would be like this. I mean, it's a cool idea. It's kind of like Inspector Gadget.
Yeah.
It's like this. But then it would have 8 of them.
That's the only problem is I'm like, how does this not look like noodles?
I mean, maybe it does. Maybe
Oh,
that's
you know
okay.
what? I guess this is from another concept, but the Watcher in Lord of the Rings, he had little hands when he was looking at for the ring on Frodo.
Really?
Yeah, he had little
In the movie?
yeah, they're like little 3-prong,
No one remembers that.
except for me because I'm a nerd. All right.
Okay. So I'm digging where this is going. Although I'm afraid that it's looking too much like Haley, like the actual stalker demon.
Well, instead of giving him 8, like keep the torso and like give him 4. What about that? Like he still has a torso. Although
Okay.
actually, because I just saw that other chapter where it showed the silhouette of Haley's demon, and that guy actually has a torso. So if this one doesn't have a torso, it's further away from Haley's demon. So reverse that.
All right, we totally lost the ninja part of this.
Yes, there's no more ninja except for his head.
But that's fine because that's what makes octopuses so great.
What about like a tadpole tail?
Um,
Too much.
I think he would be unbalanced.
Yeah, all right.
It could be that he just has an octopus body. It's
With the hoodie.
like,
That is a hoodie.
yeah, like this. And the mantle is here. The mantle goes all the way back. I like that we've discovered this word mantle. Wait. No. It's getting too. Wait a minute.
It's too much. It kind of looks like he's like hiding in an octopus costume. That's why I'm getting
all right.
Maybe we should add the torso. Maybe we should add a
Need
torso.
to add back some type of
Body.
trunk that this is coming off of. Otherwise, yeah, he just looks like he's a man in a huggy outfit that's shaped like an octopus. Or what's that thing that is like a onesie?
It's they're like octopus onesies. I'm pretty sure they exist. If they don't, someone made their own.
He still needs to look like a ninja.
He does not look like one at all right now.
All right, wait. I have an idea.
Okay.
When he like does show up, whoever sees this, they're not gonna laugh when he shows up, and either he's gonna look completely different but better and have a little bit of the things that we talked about today, or he's gonna look exactly like what we talked about, and it's gonna be ridiculous. All right. This mantle is not looking like
I don't like it
to me. I really like the idea that he squishes himself into really tight spaces that an octopus does.
But at this point, we're just making him look like a octopus with a head in it.
Yeah, hold on. We need to fix that. So put the eye here. I'm gonna put the eye here. And then put the mouth here.
Are you gonna still add the mouth of this like creepy fish on the bottom here? Or is that just an idea?
Just an idea.
All right.
Okay, so now if we put the eye up here instead of inside, it now looks like it's not just a man hiding in an octopus costume. This mouth isn't doing it for me. I'm trying to get it to be more like a beak. No. Just kidding. I want it to be, let's put it back to human mouth. I'm still on the fence with the octopus arms. I don't know. I think at least the squiggly parts are making him look too like non-menacing. All right, you know what? Let's at this point, why don't we can keep going back to different really radical silhouettes and shapes and stuff. But why don't we, just for the sake of going through the whole process, why don't we pick one of these things to sort of take it a little bit further and flesh these out some more, or flesh it out more?
I don't know. My vote would be the Mr. Burns one that's kind of bent over. Looks like old Godzilla with dental tools coming out of its back.
This one?
The one on the
This
top.
one?
Yeah, that one.
Okay. I was gonna go with that one or like this. For some reason, I really like eel body guy.
You know what? All right. Let's go with one of those two actually. I guess I ignored those because I was like, what looks like it's not going to be as much work.
All right, let's go with. I'm gonna go with eel body just because I'm gonna pull sort of executive privilege and then
Mm-hmm.
just okay, or executive override and go with that guy. Okay, so we're gonna hide these, or actually, let me grab this guy. So at this point, after more and more of these different sort of blue sky designs, I will go ahead and I'll pick one that I'm gonna run with, and it's gonna be this one. And then what I'll do is I'll have a whole new board, image board with just different, fleshing this guy out, sort of different variants on this shape, as long as it retains the basic heart or spirit of the design. So before we do variants, let's flesh out the one that we have here. And by that, I mean we're just going to work out more of the details and give some more modeling and articulation to some of the interior of the head, and then figure out, you know, how all of the sketchy stuff that we did that sits on top of that that mantle, like how that actually comes together and how they're all integrated instead of just, you know, really loose thumbnail. Okay, so I think I want, I don't want it to look completely soulless. But
Eyes
I
are
want it,
helpful without being beady.
but I don't want it, I don't want it to look like a person. Like it's one of us. I want it to look as if it kind of developed these features because it's what it's sort of mimicked. It's evolved to mimic, not necessarily that it is actually humanoid. So the way that like its nose looks and integrates to the rest of its face is not necessarily because it's being used for breathing. It's just more of a camouflage. Because these things don't need to breathe really. And then how it connects to how the head connects to the rest of the interior or the rest of the snake body.
Eel body.
Eel body. Um, okay, so I like the idea that there's a crest on the top of the head, and maybe it connects to this sort of top of the beak area, where it sits what is kind of like a nose, but doesn't function quite like a nose. So this is its crest, and then that spiny part kind of forms. Let's see. Kind of forms part of the hood, what looks like a hood. So this part here. Okay, so another good way to kind of figure out how all of this is, the details are filled in, is kind of think about what the materials are. So for instance, if I want this to be kind of like calcium or calcified bone, or maybe it's cartilage. Now it looks like a rooster. Yeah. Maybe this part is soft underneath here. And then this is not necessarily cartilage or bone, but it's like a hard shell, like a mollusk. This whole thing. All right, this is not looking threatening.
What about eyes that are on like deep sea cuttlefish where they're just kind of white, pale, and milky?
Yeah. Okay, maybe I changed my mind about this crest here, especially if this is soft inside here, and then it's got the shell here. Maybe this is, when you open up a scallop or a mussel or something, it's got that soft part here that sticks to the mussel, the shell of the mussel. Should this stuff, like its tentacle anemone, be coming from inside of this sort of shell helmet?
I guess if that's its way of also attacking, it can. If it's just I guess if some type of predator is coming and it's only meant to defend and attack enough to get away from it,
Yeah,
then I would say so.
and these are stingers that will numb you. Okay, the other thing is if this is hard, which I don't know yet, then attaching it to this eel body is not going to work because I think it just wouldn't make sense. Unless the other set of eyes are kind of on the eel body here.
That's actually what I was thinking because I was like, well, technically she said 4 eyes because I was like, I saw 2, but maybe she'll just put the
Yeah.
other ones
Well, I was
outside.
gonna have them maybe be hidden underneath this lid here, but they could be on the outside.
Could be like a lionfish protected from the inside and then also out.
Yeah, we've totally moved away from squid at this point.
Yeah.
So and then the a like a moray eel has this underbite. And then it goes into what I imagine is its gullet. I don't know the anatomy of a moray eel by name. And its eyes are kind of like up here in the front. So got this tiny little top part of its jaw here, and then it's got like a little eye in the front there. And then I guess I would make the body basically just be the body of a moray eel. Except maybe at the very, very end of this thing, just have something interesting. Maybe not necessarily for function, but just something to make it cool demon. Cool looking demon.
So I'm trying to find the little I guess it's a part of its fin, or not its fin, a part of its gill.
I did have these arms coming off of it, so
Are they are
could
they
have
still a
like
thing?
yeah, I'll pull it back a little bit so that way it kind of looks like is it a lungfish that has sort of fins further back here?
Oh yeah. It's the fish that what's the name of that stork? It's an African stork that looks really mean, but it eats a lungfish. Shoe-billed stork. There he is.
Okay, so here's the part where it gets a little weird and freaky because it's got the like humanoid arms. So the question is, do we give it the same muscular system as we would a human, where it's got like a bicep and a tricep, and it's got um, forearm, or do we make it more like because there's not many sea creatures that have an arm, basically, or even something that resembles like a claw. Crabs, maybe, but or uh, yeah, that I would just say like arachnids. but because it's a humanoid, I would imagine that we'd want its muscle system to be somewhat like a humanoid. So, it's got the tricep back here, it's got the bicep. It's got an elbow and a forearm. My demons when they are similar to humans, they kind of do have the same muscle system. Okay, well, we'll just make it a human muscle system for now. And
I feel like that's okay for this type of thing, because it still has to have its like uncomfortable, odd like feeling to it. And adding human parts to things that aren't human, I feel like adds to that.
and it kind of falls in line with some of the other demons that have been in the world so far.
Actually, yeah, all of them have like had like, I guess even if they didn't have arms, they had something that was human-esque to them.
Yeah, I think
I like the head coming out of it. It's really creepy.
we can even like when the when it goes to defend itself or something, or it talks, like the head comes out here, kind of like Alien, like that. Or I don't know. We'll see what happens. Or maybe it doesn't even talk from up here. It like talks down here where its gills are.
Oh, that like an oh god, like a stingray.
Yeah, like this stingray. its eyes are down here, or its mouth is down here.
Eyes down here, please.
Yeah, actually, speaking of stingray, what if?
Uh-oh. Design change. Sadly
I
now.
think this part is too much here.
Yeah, it has more. It also has more, all the same eyes as the thing that it serves. So I'm pretty sure there's going to be competition.
Yeah, who knows if there's not time for this guy to show up, maybe I'll appropriate some features from here.
It's like Haley's demon's best friend or second cousin.
His other brother's his mother's brother's dentist. Okay, I just don't want to put too many different creatures into one design. Okay, I think something like this. I think we're on the right track.
Maybe. I don't know how I feel about the hood thing going over there.
All right, let's go.
I have mixed reviews about it in my head. Like, a part of me likes it because it's disturbing, but a part of me hates it.
All right,
it makes me think of an insect.
All right, let's do a variant of it later, and for now we'll keep the sort of more traditional eel body.
I did like that you put the gills on the bottom of the chest. That's cool.
Not that it needs to breathe.
Not really.
That way.
Do these things breathe?
No, they do not. Not in our atmosphere.
So all noses are decorative.
So something along the lines of this. Although I trying to avoid this making it look like what we had with the squid person in squid costume, in eel costume.
Oh no! It looks like he's in a sleeping bag. That'd be terrible. Oh.
I'll think of some way to integrate this head with the rest of the body so it does not look like just somebody who got eaten by an eel or who is sitting in an eel sleeping bag.
I guess the only way it would work is if the head, like if it was still this design, the head would have to be like a surprise, and then would come out like you talk about, like Predator.
The only way this would work aside from that is if I could make it feel like this head is truly connected to this arm. This part, this interior head is connected to this arm, and then do a good job of making the outer head integrate with the hand, the arm, and the interior head better. Okay, or maybe is it the eye? Is it that's making it feel like it's detached, it's disjointed? I think that, I don't know, I feel like that's
Well,
better.
what if you put the eye, I guess the hidden eye on the bottom? Would it still look like he's like in a sleeping bag?
Not so much.
Yeah.
I think because it's not usual, or it's an unusual spot. And maybe instead of sealing the person in,
It's like just a part of him.
yeah, maybe this kind of sticks on their back and then this sticks on their chest and then the arms, I don't know. I'll do some variants of this. It's something like this. I don't think I've done a creature like this in the comic yet so far.
Mm-mm.
In this shape.
No, I think the very, very, very first one you did was like a C-type creature, but it looked nothing like this.
So
This is like
something
old Simon Says.
something like this. Maybe I'll do a variation where it's got a squid bottom instead of an eel bottom to bring it back to uh, the original physical traits that we listed out. Okay, so basically, after I do some more variations on this design, and I'll try a lot of different mixing and matching, what I'll do is I will clean this up a bit, and then I will then work on the texture and the color and sort of finalize the different types of materials that this thing is made up of, or this demon is made up with. Sadly, what ends up happening in the comic, because of the rules of the universe, when they go into the real world, they basically become this like red tinted creature that's semi-transparent. So a lot of that information is just going to kind of get thrown out the window anyway. But it's nice to be able to have thought through it in case it needs to inform maybe the human form that they take, or when they are actually in their own universe, maybe I'll have a chance to show it when they're in their own dimension and they have corporal form and not spirit form. Then you'll actually get to see their true colors. But we'll
Oh,
see.
I remember that when you just would like have it be like this dark fill. It was when we were working on the very first episode. I think the shark guy was there, and I was coloring his like gums one color and then coloring like other parts other colors, and you're like, you shouldn't do that.
I mean,
You're
you
like,
can, but
yeah, you're like, you can't, but like no one's gonna
it'll,
see it.
it'll get dropped anyway. Okay, well, that that was definitely longer than I anticipated, but I never know how long just kind of brainstorming is going to take, especially when I need to get warmed up and I'm just sort of spitballing things. So the design process is really a moody process for me. It definitely, I have my good and my bad days. So hopefully this was interesting to watch. You guys had fun and had
I
a little
did.
bit of learn a little bit about kind of some different techniques that you can use when you're designing really weird demon creatures. So hopefully,
Thank you.
oh, you're welcome. So hopefully I'll settle on something. I really think I'm gonna go with this, and then you will see this guy make an appearance in a episode coming soon. All right. I this is my very first streaming broadcast, so I guess I'm gonna say thank you guys for showing up. And forever who watches later, I hope to see you at the next streaming. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.